Hello, collectors and trainers alike. It is Steven here with a review of the SH Figuarts Never to Be Champion, Ash Ketchum. One of the first Pokemon human figures from Tamashii Nations, this figure was highly anticipated among fans as it just might pave the way for more trainers in the line. But does this, tied for first technically with the Team Rocket set, release get our hopes up for more figures to come in the future? Well, just like Ash's dreams of becoming a Pokemon master, the answer might not surprise you. So without further ado, let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding into your collection. Without a doubt, the strongest aspect of this figure is how he looks, and given the recent slump across the board with import action figures, that is a great thing to say. For around $45, they did a really nice job with this guy, especially with how he looks from far away. So on the shelf or in an action display, you really don't have much to worry about. And perfectionists, or those who are like me, where you kind of appreciate nice build quality, there's not much to worry about here, because even up close, the paint apps are pretty nice. Now let's look at the hat to start things off, and it has rather clean paint apps with the white, the red, and the green. And sure, you know what, it's not perfect, but what are you really going to do here? The default faceplate's pretty solid too. It's just that he's way too happy. I mean, why can't we get a neutral expression? He does come with another faceplate, but we'll take a look at that later. Anyway, the jacket is nicely painted, sure. The little gold buttons could be better and whatnot, but the application issues are minor. And with pretty clean white and yellow on it, you can't really get too upset at this price point. The arms and the gloves, they stand out pretty well too in this price range. Now, I have seen some slop on others, and it can be minor, such as where the fingers meet the green on the gloves. Kind of a small spot, understandable to some degree. But you know what? That comes with the manufacturing process. The belt looks great with the silver paint, and the simple leg designs are executed just fine with great sculpt with simple paint apps. The shoes look fine, though the paint looks a little too, maybe feathered, if that would be the right word, for my tastes. All in all, Ash looks pretty solid for the price and for his size. So why is he so cheap? Those of you familiar with the SH Figuarts line, you are going to see a lot of old joints on Ash, and that's because I think this figure was created a long time ago in the prototype stage, and it was finally released in the current year. So yeah, I think that's where some of the outdated parts come into play. However, on mine, it is tight, and not in the good way. So we have this very awkward connection here where the head plugs in. There's like a swivel hinge connection down there, and there's a ball joint connection. Let's actually just go ahead and show you this now instead of waiting. So there's a ball joint that plugs into the back of his head, and then there's this connection here, and then there's a swivel. Yeah, you can hear it. It's just tight. It's just very, very tight. That's also how you swap out the different parts for Ash. We can put his head on backwards. Let's do that. Maybe he'll look better. Yeah, and then ball joint where the neck plugs into the body. Very, very tight. Ball jointed shoulders where they plug in. And we also have hinges. Also tight. So you can raise and lower Ash's arms. Like so. Can't pull them out, but that's okay. Very tight bicep swivels. Single hinge elbows, which are tight. And it's on both sides. It really makes you wonder. We have the typical Figuarts style wrist joints. So we have a swivel hinge combo with the hands plugging into the wrist on a ball joint. That's pretty cool. That's reasonably loose. So it's not super duper deathly tight. And you can see that it being that tight, it can be difficult for posing because it's like you either get that far or you get that far, and it's very difficult to find something that's somewhere in between. Ash does have an ab crunch. That's really just good for turning him from side to side, forward and back. Yeah, pretty decent movement, but yeah, that's primarily what I would say it's used for. And we do have a waist joint. It's a ball joint, so we can get him to really look back and really look down, and then couple that with the awkward head joint or the neck joint. Yeah, that's pretty weird. So for the older joints, for the hips, we have the pull-down style joints with ball-jointed hips that have a swivel built in. That makes me think that, like the Sailor Moon Figuarts, Ash and by extension, Team Rocket were older figures that were just finally released. So, knees, looks like just a single hinge. So we get about that much range of movement. For the ankles, it kind of just looks like we have a swivel hinge combo there, but it's really tight and it's hard to move, but still we get that ankle rocker movement there, which is great. And then we have a toe hinge that allows you to point the toe up, but not down. So Ash's articulation is super duper tight. I haven't performed any figure surgery, and if this is the case for you, there should be a card popping up right about here that'll help you take care of that. I just need to do it. I just have been lazy and I haven't done it. So that's definitely something that can be fixed. But for articulation, Ash has a very solid range of movement. It could be a little bit better. Wish it was updated to today's standards for SH Figuarts, but still, we can get some nice poses out of Ashy Boy here. Oh, this is how they made him so cheap. He comes with nothing. One pointing hand, one hand to hold a Pokeball, and that ball is attached to the hand, an alternate faceplate and alternate head, another Meb Pikachu design in the SH Figuarts line, and a stand to support Pikachu on Ash's shoulder. Alright, so I'm exaggerating when I say he comes with nothing, but really, there's not much here in this set. So let's look at the hands first, the two of them that we get. And you can see they're pretty basic quality, nothing too extravagant here. However, I do have to hand it to Bandai when it comes to the Pokeball, because despite it not being great that it's just glued to his hand, it looks great, and Good Smile Company should really take notes on how to make these. Anyway, the hands, they just swap out normally like all the other SH Figuarts releases you probably have in your collection. Now the head parts, and it just might be confusing, but not entirely. First, to swap the faces for the normal head part, you take the hat off, remove the bang part, pull the face off, then in reverse order. I think that's pretty straightforward because that's default, but then you see the alternate head parts here, and that can look a little weird and it could seem confusing here. So for this one, all you have to do is try to cover up the hat. You take the hat off, then monkey see, monkey do as usual with pulling the face off, putting the face on, and then putting on the new hair part. Like I said, it's deceptive, and you think you're going to want to pop the head off, but don't, because if you do, it's going to be a nightmare to put the head back on. Anyway, the stern face, it looks pretty neat, but it's upsetting that we only get this one extra face. Now, Pikachu, and I gotta be really hard on Bandai here because Pikachu sucks. We get a little bit of articulation, so let's get that out of the way first with some basic ball joints. While cool, yeah, it's there. However, the sculpt is rather ugly, most specifically the pose, in the best way for him to look. And the paint is middle of the road too. But Meowth in the Team Rocket set, it's absolutely fantastic, but Pikachu here, nah fam. Let's take a step back. And let's actually take a look at how bad this Pikachu is compared to the competition. Tomy releases a bunch of different Pikachus, which work as great substitute. This one here given out at a Pokemon Day in 2016 in Toys R Us for free, though it can be bought. And this ancient fat Pikachu here. And then here's a little minifigure that comes with one of the TCG products, and here is the Pokemon Gallery figure Pikachu that you can get. Yeah, there are other Pikachu figures on the market that make much better display pieces to go along with your Ash figure. Simply put, not a great Pikachu. Keep it in the box, get a better one. So all in all, accessories, that's exactly why he's so cheap. Admittedly, for the price, they're not bad per se, but they're enough for a couple basic poses. Running, pointing at an unknown object with his head on backwards, pretending to catch something, that's about it. Even the Nendoroids for Good Smile Company have more posing and display options than this, and they're not that much more expensive, which I don't know what that says about them, but regardless, it's pretty obvious extra hands and at least one extra faceplate for a few more dollary dues would have been worth it. Oh, and a better Pikachu. Now, before we close out this section, I must add a disclaimer. There is a deluxe set that comes with both Ash and Team Rocket, and there are more accessories for both. A crying face for Ash when he says goodbye to Charizard, and then a deluxe R display card for Team Rocket, which is a Bandai Premium Webshop exclusive, and that's a lot more than getting these two separate if you're in the US, and you can't order it new anymore, so yeah, we're not counting that for this review. And a size comparison alongside Team Rocket, just for the reason you can get an idea of how big the gang is together with other figures to make it easier for you, and absolutely not because I'm going to be reusing these shots for both reviews. No, I'm not going to do that. Whether other general Figuarts or it's Tomy or D-Arts, SH Figuarts, Pokemon figures, they all fit in just fine together. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. He looks great, but the articulation on mine is horrendously tight to the point I think he might break, and accessories should have added more to this release for the display value. While not a bad figure, this is absolutely a budget release to cash in on movie hype and not up to Bandai standards. Put it toe-to-toe with something like a Vegeta or Goku, he will lose. However, for the adult collector, he might be a better alternative to the Tomy, and he looks nice on the shelf. Yay. If you set your expectations accordingly, then this release just might leave you pleasantly surprised. Unfortunately, I expected a bit more and was let down, but for what it is, I guess it ain't too bad. Well, folks, that's the end of this review. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow me on social media to catch more behind-the-scenes shenanigans and updates. The end card should be popping up now with more hand-selected STR goodness for you to watch, so check out some of those videos. Be sure to check the description too to see where you can buy this figure or others like it, and some cool links like the credits for this video and other ways you can help out the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.